Good morning. Hope you're having a great week. It is Monday, July 28th, 1:47 a.m. Central Daylight Time, local time here in Oklahoma. I'm in Oklahoma City at the place where I pay to park the truck. It's my personal vehicle. There's the truck, and I just kind of finished. I still need to put the tools away and clean up, and I need to see if I'm pretty sure that I don't have any tape that would be sufficient, so I'm gonna have to buy some tape, some type of I don't know, I'll have to do some research on it. The tape that's on it right now is some type of cloth tape. I know that if I put duct tape or electrical tape, or I do have like some 100-mile-per-hour tape. I have lots of different types of tape, but I'm 90% certain that all of the tapes that I have would not last very long on that. So I'm gonna have to do some research, and for now I'm just gonna drive it without any tape on that little spot until I can get the appropriate tape to put on there. What I might end up doing is when I put it in for service, if I get it put in for service here, I might just ask the shop guys there if they know what kind of tape I need to cover that up with, and they probably got some, and they'll probably just cover it up for me, tape it up for me. But anyway, so what happened? Let's take a look at the repair I did here. So what does that wire go to? Sorry, I've got a headlamp on. I'm trying to illuminate it. You can see basically, I cut out the bad section of wire, and then I put in a short little piece of wire to replace the bad section of wire, and I used this self-soldering stuff right here. Kuject solder seal wire connections, and I used a heat gun, this thing right here. Mini hot air gun, 350 watts. Gets up to 450 degrees Celsius. From 50 to 450 degrees Celsius. I don't even know what that is. This is America. You need to speak in Fahrenheit. So, yeah, it was not very difficult to do. What I ended up doing, you know what, before we talk about how I did the repair, let's talk about what was wrong. So let's take a step back here, and I'm gonna wander around. I'm sweating like crazy. I think it's 84 degrees right now. We have a heat advisory. During the daytime, it's getting really hot, like 100 degrees or more. But yeah, it's hot and it's humid, and I'm fat. And for anybody who's not fat, you want to know what it's like to be a fat person? Imagine walking around with a winter coat on all year long. That's what it's like being fat, because all this fat on me is basically like wearing a coat. So when it's hot outside and you're fat like me, it is unbearable. I much prefer cold than I do hot. And I'll walk around in shorts and a t-shirt when it's like 30 degrees outside. And people look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, man, I weigh 300 pounds. I've got a fat coat on. If I were skinny, I wouldn't be doing this. So anyway, what was the symptom? Well, I think that this problem actually goes back for a few years. I suspect that this is something that's been a problem for, like, basically since I got the truck. I think this has most likely been a problem since I got the truck, because whenever I first got the truck, I started getting headlight errors. And my so the headlight assembly has 4 lights in it. You have your low beam up there at the top, the high beam below it, and then you have your turn signal and running light, or turn signal and parking light. I think it's a parking light. And then over here you have your marker light or running light. I don't know all the definitions between marker lights and running lights and all that stuff right there, so I might be using terminology incorrect. But this is a light right here on the side, and then there's a light right here that it'll stay on solid whenever the lights are on, but it also acts as a turn signal. It'll flash whenever you're using your turn signal. So the problem that I have had the entire time I've owned the truck, I bought the truck in the summer of 2020. The problem I've had the entire time I've owned it is intermittent issues with the turn signal lights on both sides. I would get errors about the turn signal lights and they would still be functional. I would be getting errors on them that they're not working, but they're actually still working. So what I would do is I would take them out and, reconnect them, and I could eventually get rid of the error. The error would be really bad whenever it was wet outside, whenever it was raining or it was really humid. So I always suspected I had some kind of exposed wire somewhere. So what I ended up doing was I went out and I bought some dielectric grease. Where's it at? Did I bring it out here? I bought this stuff. Super Lube, multi-purpose synthetic grease with Syncolin, heavy duty dielectric, food grade, clean. So this is basically what you put on electrical connections to keep water out. So whenever you go back to your pigtail, your electrical connection on the trailer, this thing right here, and you pull out your electrical line and it's got tons of grease in there, that's what it is. It's this stuff. Well, it's not this exact stuff, but it's stuff like this. It's dielectric grease that the purpose of it is to keep water out. So what I started doing is I would take the right here is where you access the lights and the headlight assembly. I would just cover the connectors on the headlights in this grease, and that got rid of my problems. I stopped getting so many, every time it would rain I would get errors, but whenever I put the connectors in this stuff, it stopped. And then recently it started back up again. And then a few weeks ago, when I was down in, it was when I was doing a pre-trip inspection on my, no, it was a post-trip inspection. I think it was a post-trip inspection. I don't know, you can go back and watch the video. Pretty sure I did a video on it. When I was doing a post-trip inspection, or a pre-trip, on my way from Portland to Atlanta, I noticed that this running light, the turn signal light that operates as a running light, was not coming on. Now, what was weird about it is that the turn signal was still working. It's just whenever the turn signal wasn't on, this light would not be on, and this light over here would be on. Let me show you. Turn on my parking lights, or my running lights, whatever you want to call them. And you see how I have both the light on the side and the turn signal light on. That turn signal light's on solid. Well, on this side, that turn signal light was not on solid. It was completely out. But the turn signal still worked. If it would flash like normal. I was like, what in the world? I didn't notice that the turn signal was still working. I just assumed the light was out. So I went and replaced the light because I have spares. It took me a couple minutes to just swap it out, and it didn't fix it. And that's when I started doing some more testing, and I realized the turn signal was actually still working. And I started, if the light's working, then it has to be a wiring problem. It either has to be a control unit issue, something with a computer or control unit, or a wire. So I started looking at the wire, and it only took me a few seconds of looking at the wire here to find that spot where it was clearly an exposed wire. Like, it was just blatantly obvious exposed wire. But what is really weird is I also started getting errors on the other light, on the other headlight assembly. So at first, I was not getting any errors at all on the dash. That light just was not working as a running light. It was working as a turn signal, but I wasn't getting any errors. And then, I went ahead and drove all the way to Atlanta, made my delivery, sat around for a week for a load, and then I got a load, went up to Nashville, got a load, took it over to Tulsa, and I think it was on my way after delivering that load in Tulsa, which it wasn't really Tulsa, it was Pryor, Oklahoma, which is kind of close to Tulsa. It's a little ways away. But on my way home from there is when I think that's when the errors started with the headlights, and the turn signal light on the other side started having issues and working intermittently. So I came out, I've been putting off fixing it. I planned on fixing it at the truck stop, and I was like, you know what, I really do not want to be doing a repair at the truck stop, because almost every time I do a repair, I run into issues where I don't have the right tool or the right part, and I have to go get it. And I didn't want to tear, the wiring out, cut the wiring. Now it's not going to work at all. I'm not going to have partial functionality. I'm not going to have any functionality. And then I realize I don't have the right parts. I don't want to get into that situation at a truck stop, which is why I tend to avoid doing repairs at truck stops. So I wanted to wait until I got home, and then I procrastinated after I got home. I've been home for a couple weeks. I'm just now finally getting out here and working on it. So before I tackled the other headlight assembly, I wanted to fix this wiring issue. Why? Why did I want to do it in that specific order? Because wiring issues, electrical systems, can act really, really weird. If your electrical system is not grounded properly, or if you have any exposed wiring, or if you have a malfunctioning component attached to your electrical system, it can cause really odd behavior throughout your entire electrical system. Anything connected to that electrical system could act weird. I dealt with this a lot as a computer technician, which is what I used to do before I became a truck driver. I was an IT person, and this is something you ran into a lot in computers. You'd have a hard drive fail, and it would fail so bad that it would disrupt the entire electrical system to where the computer wouldn't work. You'd have all kinds of weird issues. You disconnect that hard drive and then everything starts working properly. Now that's not common, that's really rare for something to have that type of critical failure, but that's the reason I wanted to fix this wiring issue first. And after I fixed that wiring issue, all of my errors stopped. I actually was getting two errors. I was getting an error on that other headlight assembly, and I was getting an error on an oil temperature sensor. And after I fixed that exposed wire right there, both of those errors stopped. How crazy is that? That a wire that's only going to this right side headlight assembly was, I don't know for sure if it was causing the other errors. I haven't done enough testing. Like right now, whenever I turn the truck on, I'm getting no errors after fixing that. Before I fixed it, I was getting errors. So just a few minutes ago, before I fixed it, I was getting all those errors. Now, after fixing that exposed wire, I'm not getting the oil temperature sensor, which the sensor that I was getting the error on is, I'm trying to shine it with the headlamp. Right below that cotter pin, do you see that electrical connection right there? That electrical connection is connected to, let me try this side, get over on this side. This thing right here. This wiring, is that it? No, that's not it. It's the one below it, I think. Where in the world is it at? Well, now, I'm having difficulty locating it. But it is right in here in this area somewhere. And it connects into the side of the engine this way. So it connects into the side of the engine like this, going this direction. And I remember looking at the instructions on how to get to it, and you basically had to stick tools through holes in the frame here, really long tools, to access it, to loosen it up. But anyway, I'm not going to spend 30 minutes trying to figure out where in the world it's at. But that is it's a $95 sensor. I found it online for 95 bucks. It looks like something that I could replace myself. But then again, you know, you come into that situation where it requires specialized tools or something. So I might have had to pay somebody like 150 bucks to replace that $95 sensor, because it would require like some specialized tools to access it. Don't you hate that they design vehicles like that, to where everything is so difficult to access? You require so many specialized tools to work on it that you're basically forced to take it to a mechanic. Otherwise, you have to go and buy several $1,000s worth of tools to work on your own vehicle. Mechanics, I talked with the mechanics here. Trey, whenever he was working here, I think he told me that he had over $10,000 in tools. And he said that was nothing compared to Bill. He said Bill probably had over $100,000 in tools, because like he was a welder and all kinds of stuff. Like he had several, like Trey was constantly going over and borrowing tools from Bill. And Trey had a lot of tools. But anyway, so that was the problem. And after fixing that exposed wire, I'm not getting any errors. And all the lights are working. So what did I have to do to fix it? Well, I probably could have tried to work on it right there where it's at. But I looked at it, and it looked like it'd be pretty easy to pull the wire out the front. So what I did was I disconnected this thing right here, and then I cut the oh my goodness, I'm brain farting right now, the zip tie. I forgot the word, zip tie. I cut the zip tie right there, I cut the zip tie right there, and then on the other side there's another zip tie. Well, lighting is bad. So there were 3 zip ties and 1 connection that I undid. And then I was able to take that wire and pull it out here in front of the truck, and then close the hood and work on it here in front of the truck. What is this? Is this my trash? That looks like the bag that the heat gun was in. I think that is my trash. I put that in the car. How in the hell did that get out of the car? Nope. Oh, that's another one. That's another one. So yeah, I think that is my bag. I don't litter. I try not to, at least. So, I pulled it out here in front of the truck and just worked on it out here, and it was real easy to work on out here in front of the truck. And then I pulled the wire back into place and zip tied it back in and plugged the connector back in. Real easy. Now I just need to cut the excess off the zip ties, close the hood, put everything away, which here's my bag of zip ties. There are certain things that I highly recommend that every truck driver have. Number one, well, I don't know if I'd put it number one, but one of the things, zip ties. I use zip ties all the time. Something else, I think I bought this on Amazon. This little socket wrench set has a screwdriver and just a multi-tool set. It's mainly socket wrenches. I have done so much work on the truck with just that little tool set right there. I have done like tons and tons of work on the truck and the APU with just that. I also recommend that you get Glad Hand, the rubber grommets for Glad Hands. You buy those at the truck stop, and they're like $10 or $15 for 2 of them. I bought a bag of like 100 of them online for like 15 bucks. And I replace them all the time. So you're going to save a lot of money over time if you just buy them in bulk. What are some other things that I have in the truck that, I don't know, that's not what this video is. But yeah, I should probably make a video about like things that I have in the truck that I use all the time that I recommend other people carry in the truck. But yeah, so that's what's going on with me. Let me wipe this camera lens off. It looks like it's getting foggy. It's probably because it's so humid. So that's what's going on with me. I've been out here. What time did I get out here? It's 2:09 a.m. right now. I think I finished working on it. This video is 22 minutes old. I think I finished like 5 minutes before I started the video. So probably somewhere around 1:40 a.m. is when I finished working on it. And I got here at like 12:30. So I was out here working on it for a total of about an hour. Right in the ballpark of about an hour that it took me to fix that wire. And now everything's working great. We're all good to go. So yeah, I just need to throw everything back in there. And I've been putting off, I have to get a DOT inspection done. Right now I'm out of service because my DOT inspection expired July 14th, 2 weeks ago. Like right when I got home, the DOT inspection, well, it's not expired. It's good for a year, but Landstar requires them to be done every 120 days, every 4 months. So I hit my 4-month mark on July 14th. So before I can haul another load with Landstar, I have to get a new DOT inspection done by a Landstar certified DOT inspector. And there's a new one that just popped up like 6 months ago, right across the interstate, like a mile from here. There's a new Landstar DOT inspector. And I was talking with another Landstar driver in Atlanta when I was delivering to Google. And I was talking about the DOT inspection, about how I needed to get one done. And I was telling him that I was trying to get back to the house because I don't like getting DOT inspections done out over the road because of Landstar's stupid policies on them. Where basically the Landstar DOT inspectors can hold your truck hostage. If they fail you on an inspection, you cannot move the truck until you pass the inspection. So, like, I don't want to be in that situation away from home. Because if they tell me I need like $10,000 worth of work done, if I legitimately need $10,000 worth of work done, I'm going to get it done. But these mechanics will make shit up so that they can make money. They're paid on commission. And it really Landstar's policies on DOT inspections is one of the things that I really hate about Landstar. Their DOT inspection policy and their trailer utilization department. I am really surprised that trailer utilization has not taken this trailer away from me, because I've been sitting here for like 2 weeks. Usually right at the 10-day mark, they're calling me, telling me that somebody's coming to take the trailer. You've been idle for 10 days. And I'm like, that you're gonna have to go find me a trailer now, right? I don't understand the trailer utilization department and how their mind works. Like, why are you taking a trailer away from someone just so that you can go and find them a trailer now? You're just creating more work for yourself. And Landstar's fleet size has shrunk almost in half in the last few years. There should be an abundance of Landstar trailers around the country. Instead of trailer utilization going out and finding trailers that need to be picked up from all over the place, they steal trailers from drivers, because that's the easiest thing for them to do. Because stealing a trailer from a driver, they just send an email to the driver and tell the other driver to go pick it up. For them to go figure out all these other trailers that are sitting around at shops and truck stops and everywhere abandoned, that's actual work that they would have to do. But no, the idle truck list is what they use to assign trailers to people. They don't even go out and look for abandoned trailers to try to give those away to drivers. They just use the idle truck list. It's absolutely absurd. But anyway, so now I can get the 120-day inspection done, the DOT inspection. I've been waiting until I get this repaired to get my DOT inspection done. And I think I'm gonna try getting my DOT inspection done at this new spot. I'm hesitant to get my DOT inspection done at a new location that just started working with Landstar, because do you know how it is whenever you first start working for somebody? How you're like strictly by the book. You just went through training, you just went through orientation, and you were told you have to do everything like by the book, you have to do it this way. And so new employees are the worst damn people to work with, because they don't understand how anything works. They just have this very strict regimented protocol that they were told they have to obey. And because Landstar has this ridiculous policy about DOT inspections, I'm hesitant to go over and try a new DOT inspector, because if they're like gung-ho DOT inspector and they're going to go strictly by the book, if there's a drop of oil on one of your suspension, what am I thinking of? One of your I'm having so many brain farts tonight. Sorry, I'm probably dehydrated. I've been sweating so much. One of the things that the shops will do, and I've had Landstar tell me over the phone to tell the shop not to even bother telling us the shocks are bad. That's the word I was looking for, the shocks. These TAs and a lot of these mechanics will tell you your shocks have to be replaced if there's like one single drop of oil on them. There's lots of ridiculously stupid stuff like that these shops will fail your inspections on so that they can make commission fixing that stuff. Well, it's not fixing it. There's nothing broken. But Landstar holds us to a higher standard than they hold themselves. Because when TA fails their inspections on shit like that, they tell TA, no, we're not getting that done. They just flat out tell TA, no. There's nothing wrong with it. And TA will go ahead and pass their inspections. But, they make us deal with TA's bullshit. But anyway, the guy I was talking to, the other Landstar driver in Atlanta, when I was telling him about getting home to do a DOT inspection, and I was telling him that I always use the same TA, he said, you are the first Landstar driver that I've talked to that uses a chain truck stop like TA to get their DOT inspections. I said, really? He said, yeah, everybody I know, they use a small mom and pop inspector. They won't deal with the chain truck stops because of, their bullshit. and their commission and all that stuff. And I said, well, Oklahoma City did not have a mom and pop DOT inspector. All they had was a TA and Petro inspector until recently, so I might give them a try. But yeah, one of the worst DOT inspections I ever had was actually the shop right here. Trey, who doesn't work here anymore, used to work at TA here in town. Or I don't know if it was here in town. He used to work at TA. I don't know where it was at. And he was Landstar certified to do DOT inspections. And he had been trying to get this shop certified to do DOT inspections for Landstar the entire time he'd been working here. And whenever you get your very first DOT inspection done for Landstar, Landstar allows you to get it done at non-Landstar certified shops. That's the only time Landstar lets you do that. There might be some exceptions to those rules, but in general, that's the only time Landstar will let you get a DOT inspection done by a non-Landstar DOT inspector. So, Trey was trying to impress Landstar and show how awesome of an inspector he was, and he failed me on tons of crap. He said my fire extinguisher was bad because it didn't have an expiration date, and he said both my steer tires were bad. No, not both. One of my steer tires was bad, needed to be replaced because it had some damage to it. And I can't remember all the things. There was like 5 or 6 things. Most of them were minor things like fire extinguisher and stuff like that. But the tires cost me over $1,200. It was like, I think it was $1,200, $1,500. No, I can't remember the price. I made a video on it. I think it was around $1,500 for me to replace the tires. And when I went down to Goodyear to get the tires replaced, I told them what happened. And they told me there was nothing wrong with the tires. And when I asked Trey to show me what was wrong with the steer tire that he failed me on, he could not find the damage on the steer tire. He sat there, him and Bill both, sat there looking at the tire for like 5 minutes, trying to find whatever mystical damage he failed me on for that tire. And like thinking back on it, I should have told him to go screw himself and taken it somewhere else to get a DOT inspection done, because at that point I wasn't under Landstar's stupid policy where I couldn't move the truck. So I could have gone and gotten a DOT inspection somewhere else. But I asked the TA shop and the Goodyear shop that I had to deal with to get all the fixes done that Trey failed me on, and both of them laughed. And they were like, because I bought a new fire extinguisher, and the brand new fire extinguisher also did not have an expiration date on it. And I told Trey this whenever he did the follow-up inspection. And what TA told me is that fire extinguishers are only good for 10 years. So it should have a manufacturer date on it somewhere, and it's good for 10 years from that date. Or it can be older than 10 years if you get it like recertified with the fire department. But Trey didn't understand these rules. Anyway, I'm ranting and raving about Trey. I have not had good experiences with mechanics. But anyway, I need to get all this crap wrapped up. And then I need to call that new DOT inspector that's right across the street from here and ask them what the situation is with Landstar DOT inspections. And then I need to go over there and get a DOT inspection done. And then I'll be good to go. I can head back out over the road after I get that DOT inspection done, get my maintenance report sent in. I can start, once I get the DOT inspection done and I get taken off the out of service list, then I can start looking for a load and get back out over the road. And I still have not figured out what I'm going to do when I go back out over the road. I haven't been paying attention to the load board. So I'm going to take a peek at the Northwest and see what the situation is in the Northwest. But The Northwest freight has just been deteriorating. It's just been getting continually worse and worse. The last time I was out there in the Northwest, the Seattle-Portland area, is the worst I have ever experienced. And I ended up taking, I think, the cheapest load I've ever hauled to get out of there. That $2.20 a mile load, which that's the full rate. What I actually made after the percentage cuts was like $1.57 a mile on that load. That's the cheapest I've ever run at. I think that's the cheapest I've ever run at. But yeah, I'm gonna have to make a decision. If the freight in the Pacific Northwest, the Seattle-Portland area, still sucks, then I'm probably gonna try to run up and down the 29-35 corridor. Try to run between like Dallas and up in the Minneapolis, Green Bay, Milwaukee, Chicago area. Some like in between Fargo and Chicago up in the north, and then down in the south around the Dallas area. Just try to run up and down that corridor. That's what I'll probably try to do if the freight still sucks up in the Seattle-Portland area. But what I prefer to do is just go Seattle-Portland, go down to Dallas, take a load to Seattle-Portland, and then Seattle-Portland, take something east over to, I don't know, Fargo or something like that, and then find a load coming back down to Dallas. So that's the triangle that I like to run, is basically Dallas, Seattle, Portland, Minneapolis, Dallas, Seattle, Portland, Minneapolis. That's my preferred triangle because I don't like traffic. I don't like busy cities. I like driving out in the middle of nowhere. It's a lot of mountain driving, but I prefer that over driving through cities. Somebody's APU just kicked on. And this person's APU's been going since I got here. I think it's an APU. Is it a truck idling? This is a really long time for an APU to be running. Let's go over here and check it out. There might actually be somebody asleep in the truck. Yeah, it's this tri-pack right here. You see the condensation on the windows? That condensation means that it's cold inside the truck. So either that person's in there asleep inside the truck, which is why it got quiet all of a sudden, or they went home for the weekend and they left their APU set to climate control mode. The APU, whenever you set it to climate control mode, it'll automatically turn on and off to regulate temperature inside the truck. So that's probably what happened, was they left the air conditioner on their APU. And that's the reason their APU is running constantly. It's not that big of a deal. For an APU to run all weekend at like a quarter of a gallon per hour, so that's like 24 divided by 4 is 6. So that's like 12 gallons to run non-stop all weekend, if it's running non-stop. And if you're paying $3 a gallon, actually fuel is more expensive than that. $4 a gallon is probably a better average, but let's say $3 a gallon. So that's 12 times 3, 36 bucks in fuel that it's going to cost them to let their APU run all weekend. So anyway, let's wrap this video up. I'm tired, and I need to get home and then call that shop, ask them what the situation is with DOT inspections, because they don't have hours listed other than Monday through Friday. So I don't know what their situation is on DOT inspections. It's a tire shop right across the interstate. So hopefully they're just a tire shop, because there's nothing wrong with my tires. Whatever it is the mechanics like to do, whatever their shop specializes in, that's what they typically fail you on. So if it's just a tire shop, then they will probably not hassle me on anything. That's one of the reasons Trey told me that this shop was having issues getting certified by Landstar, was because they did not work on tires here, which is really weird. That Landstar, like, that's the one thing that I would expect Landstar wouldn't really care about, is your shop working on tires, because it is much easier to get a roadside service for a tire repair than anything else. Everything else, roadside service is nearly impossible. But tires, you can get tires done anywhere. You can have a mechanic travel over and do tires anywhere. The prices are absurd. You know, I had that blowout on the way here, and I told you in that video the crazy prices for the roadside service. Both places I called, Tire Mart or whatever it was, and Love's, both told me, just drive the truck in. It's going to save you a lot of money if you drive the truck in rather than have us do a road call. If you have the option to drive it in, then just limp it in. It was going to cost me, it ended up costing me $500 to get a tire replaced on this truck in the shop. And I think that they told me it would have cost an extra, Love's told me I think it was an extra $300. It was going to cost $800 or $900 to get it replaced on a road call. And I was only 10 miles away. 10 miles away, and they were going to charge an extra $300 or $400 to replace a tire. And Tire Mart didn't give me an exact price. They just told me it was a 2-hour minimum. They just told me what the minimum price increase would be. And they said their price per hour was $160 an hour. So it would cost me a minimum of an extra $320 for Tire Mart to do a roadside. But anyway, let me throw all this together, put everything away, and then I'm gonna head to the house, and hopefully I'm back out over the road before long. It would be nice if I'm, get my DOT inspection and everything good to go this week and start looking for a load this week. That would be really nice. I've been procrastinating on doing this repair, and now that I've got it done, now I'm like, why did I wait so long to do this? This was so easy. So yeah, let me just clip the zip ties. And I couldn't figure out what it was rubbing on. And like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to get in there and look at it some more and see if I can figure out what it was potentially rubbing on. I think it was, that wire was probably damaged before I even bought the truck. And they probably fixed the issue of it rubbing. So, because I got in there and I couldn't figure out what was causing it to rub or what it was rubbing on. But I'm going to take a look at it and see if there's anything else I need to secure on it to keep it from rubbing and damaging the wire again. But anyway, that's what's going on with me. It's going to take me like 5 or 10 minutes to put all this stuff away, and then I'm going to head back to the house. So have a good week, and maybe I'll be doing a load board video this week. After I get the DOT inspection done, I'll be looking for a load, and I'll probably record that while I'm looking for a load at the house. So have a good one. Bye.